Okay guys, so here's the status on the machine. So cabinet's all done, filler's all done. I am, however, waiting. I need to get, these are the Mondo lines that normally come with our syringes. For some reason I was thinking it was just going to be loose, but my connectors for the syringes up here are for the Mondo lines, which are thick plastic for heated material. So they won't work on these barbs. And then the other thing is this manifold needs to be above the syringes over here. So I have extenders coming for that. That's kind of the only thing I'm waiting on. However, the machine's functioning fine. Everything's good on it. Let me go ahead and kind of walk you through the details. So whenever you start up in the morning, always just hit a reset and home, or just home. It'll also reset it. It'll basically put an H there and start running. Basically, it's going to go up on the syringe part first. Next, it's going to go up on your Z. And then it'll go in the back, or syringes will come over and then this guy will go in the back. Now for these guys, I would maybe start using these disposable needles. The reason why, oops, I just dropped that needle. Let me grab it real quick. I don't know how the ones you guys have, but these guys have a little connector, basically like this. So then that way you can use this plastic piece to screw these in and off. Makes it super nice. They all have one in each compartment. But once the machine homes like that, normally the best thing to do is load up your program. So basically you would click open, and I'm using my 48th program here while I was kind of modifying some stuff. Alrighty, next what you'd want to do is hit go to start location. What that's going to do is kind of slowly bring over everything and make sure you want it in the right locations. It's also going to bring down the syringes because we want to set that positioning. Usually you want this guy just kind of moving these plungers down just a little bit on all of them. If you did need to adjust it so they do equal out, if you did want them to equal out, you would just loosen up you'd loosen up the mount, loosen up this lock washer here, and then you could spin this, which in turn spins the plunger. But as long as they're all down, they're good. Your actual volume is going to be digitally controlled based off the syringe pump here. Next, I guess real quick is your tubing. Tubing's going to wrap around, has to go through this guy here, and then down to each syringe, kind of go through there. Wires just kind of go over the top, and yeah, so anyway, back to the program here. So go to start location. When you do start location, kind of just make sure they're center of the cartridge here. Make sure everything's kind of good there. If they're all center of the cartridge, you're good to go. Kind of walk you through the variables here. So it's kind of basically almost the same setup as our matrix fillers. You have a fill count. So if you just wanted to fill this first row, make sure these first ones, make sure everything's going good. You could put that to 1, and we'll do that first. Next is plunge speed, how fast you want it to plunge down. 5,000 is the speed limit we have on it right now. If you did want to go quicker, let us know. We'd probably have you change the acceleration or something versus that right now. Plunge up is how fast you want it to plunge up. Basically, that's kind of the most crucial for accuracy. The plunge up, you want your fluid to, gosh, sorry, I'm not really looking at the camera here, but you want your fluid to go up with this plunger. So if it is a little thicker or cold, you don't want the plunger to just yank right up and then your fluid sucks up. You want it to kind of work together to make sure you get the most accurate fill on that. Next is plunge volume. So this is 10 millimeters down. It's scaled the same as the X and Y and Z, which is everything's in millimeters. So it's not based off 10 ml. It's based off how far down. That's just something we had to do to make everything work. And plunge delay. That's if you want to delay before. So after it's done plunging, you want it to keep the plunger down for a certain amount of time. You do have to put a value in there. I'd usually put 0. I just have it at 0.1 just to kind of make sure everything's sitting for a second. It's good to go. Next is your offsets. So these are the offsets of for the cartridge. You can just do, 1, or you can do the upper part of the cartridge and then the right part of the cartridge, or you can do, say, this part of the cartridge and the down part of the cartridge and the left part of the cartridge. And I'll kind of show you that now because I do have a fill count at 1. If I hit cycle start, it's just going to run these first 4. And so you can see it went to the down. And just so you guys got it, is down is going to be this guy here. Up is all the way up. And then right, left. So basically I have it to offset from center 4 millimeters down, which would be here, and 4 millimeters to the left, which would be over here. And let me just show you that again. If I hit cycle start, it's going to do them all down, and then it's going to go to the left. Now, if I wanted to add also the right, all I need to do is put a variable in there. Don't put 0, just keep these guys empty if you don't want to use them. So now if I hit cycle start, it's going to go to 3 different positions. And say you didn't want to go all the way to 4. I mean, 4 looks pretty dang good. But if you wanted to kind of go in on one of them, like the down, you want it to be 3 instead, you could hit cycle start. And then now it's just going to move 3 millimeters out just on that down part. 4 works pretty good on these, at least in my test. I did crunch 1 needle. Not sure what happened. I was talking to someone as the machine was running. Resume on fill is if you reset and home the machine for some reason, and say we filled those first 4 cartridges, and so we don't want to reset them, or we don't want to take them out or anything, we just want it to start on the next one. I would say I want it to resume on 2, and if my fill count is greater, I'm going to say 777 to fill the whole thing. But say my resume on fill, I want it to start on the second cartridge. Actually, I am just going to do 2, so it's not running the whole cycle. What it'll do is it's just going to skip and go to the next, to the fill count of 2. Basically, and that number will disappear after that one, and then it's going to go back home. So say you wanted to do the fill count of 5, which is basically the 5th time it fills, which would be these 4, those 4s 2, then the next 4, next 4, next 4. So we're going to be dealing with that row. If I have 5 in the resume on fill and hit cycle start, it's basically going to track over to that one and start filling that 5th row. It's something our matrix fillers have, and so we implemented it on this too. So it's a pretty cool little thing there. However, I'm going to put my fill count to a full tray now so you guys can see that. Next, okay, so we didn't add the distance side just because we have so much room on these carts. They're super big. That would just be something else to mess with, and I don't think you need it, especially with running 4 nozzles. If you were just running 1 nozzle, sure, be cool. But so we do have a little bit of distance stuff, not using that eye, which is a little better when you are running multiple nozzles anyway. So travel feed rate, that's basically the speed it's going to move, bottle to bottle, cartridge to cartridge. Row quantity is 9. That's because we have 9 of these guys here. Okay, if your tray's different, just add in how many rows. Rows go up and down. Normally I'm looking at it this way, so up and down this way, or forward and backwards. The distance between these guys is about 30. 30 works good. You could dial that in a little better if you did want. You can use decimals too, so you could do like 30.9 if you wanted, or 30.99. 30 is good though. Row or column quantity. So right now it's 2. So because we're using four nozzles here, it's only going to go and fill these ones, then it's going to go and fill the next one. So it's only a column quantity of 2 because it's only going to move left once. Now say we're only running 2 nozzles, then that number would have to double because it's going to have more columns it's going to need to fill. It's kind of nice, so even if you wanted to run, say, 1 nozzle, then that column quantity you could put to 9, so then it knows to index over 9 times versus the 2. Then its distance is also 30. Okay, nozzle down distance, what that is how far down it's going to go down in this guy. And right now we have it going pretty far. We got it almost hitting the table. It's probably way down here. I don't know. I think that might be good. It's basically the whole needle there. Nozzle up distance is 20. What that is so as the machine is going up, as these nozzles or needles are going up, the syringe pump in the back is injecting the syringe for a distance of 20. What I'm going to do now is just hit cycle. Oh, one other thing. So in the morning, you know, when this guy's actually ready to go and filled up, and you want to prime the lines and get all the air out of the lines so you can start going, you do have a prime function here in manual control. So everything below here, these guys here, is manual controls. And it's basically just like our matrix filler. So you have feed rate is the speed you want any of these jog functions over here to move, and distance is how much you want them to move. So say I wanted to move my z-axis up 10 for some reason, because that's what I got my distance at there. I could then hit z plus, it's going to move that guy up. Or I could hit z minus, going to move that guy down. Same thing with x, y, all that. Same thing with the p minus is for the pump in the back or the syringes. But prime, if I hit that, it's going to go down 10 and up 10. Might be able to see that back there. And then that way you can just kind of prime the pump, get all the fluid to the lines, make sure you're good to go before you start filling. So that's one good thing. Last thing, and this is the question we get almost I'd say 90% of our matrix fillers always get this question. How do I set a new home location? So say you want to adjust these guys because it's your tray, or you want to just adjust the start location, where these things start. When you hit go to start location, it started here. Well, I don't want it to start here. I want it to start 1 millimeter forward. What you would do, go down to your distance here, put in 1 millimeter. Okay, and then I'm going to hit this Y plus, which will bring the tray. It brought the tray forward 1 millimeter. Then what I would do is you have a configure start location and set start location. Since the program is using the bit G54, or the start location G54, I'm going to go to configure start location, select G54, and hit set. Now the machine's always going to start here, but you can see it is offsetted a little bit now. So technically I wouldn't want it to start there. I'd want it more center. So what I'm going to do is, so now if I hit go to start location, and this might get a little confusing, but if I hit go to start location, see nothing's moving, because that's its new start location for this bit down here. And this bit does save with the program, so you don't have to actually put that in. It always saves. And once you configure the start location, it saves it into the firmware, not the program, so it's overwritten for good. So now, but I want to override it back because I don't like it there. So I'm going to have my feed rate at 1,000, distance 1, hit minus, and you can see, hey, we're pretty good there. We're pretty center. I mean, it's off a little bit. I mean, you could hit like you could hit 0.5 and jog it a little bit more over, and good to go. So say I want it there, I could hit set for the configure start location and then hit go to start location. Doesn't move. Okay, anyway, so now for the offsets and stuff, I'll just run it. I mean, you could run 4 points, but I know you guys want to do 3. I'm just going to run it with those guys there. I'm going to hit start cycle, and basically this guy, we'll actually see how many bottles per hour it's running with 3 injections in. So if I hit start cycle, this bottle per hour is basically counting 60 seconds up and seeing how many bottles it's gonna fill. So basically right now it's saying 180, but it's not done. It's still doing its calculation. You can see so it's ran for 60 seconds now, and bottles per hour is 1680 with 3 injections. That's if, the next tray is ready to go, load it up and go. For our trays, we have some squares down here. I don't know if you can see them, but there's a square. So the squares down here kind of hold the cartridges so they don't really move at all. And then these guys are super tight fit. That's kind of how we did it. I do have another one I'm building this morning So you will have 2 of these guys, or you could use your own, whatever. And then, I don't have any more carts, but you could see how far down we were going for the injection. You can pause the machine, so you can hit pause. It'll kind of stop at mid-cycle if you did need to adjust something, and then unpause. If you do want to restart the whole thing, just go ahead and hit reset. This soft reset up here will reset everything. Go ahead and hit home, and you're good to go. Now, say you only had I don't know, and this goes back to the fill count. Say you only had the first row of first row of carts to do, because you're out of carts. You would just put a fill count of 2 in here, and then you're good to go. And I'll kind of show you that as soon as this is done. And that's kind of it. That's basically the whole machine. Pretty easy. A lot of the stuff goes to our matrix filler, so you can also look at those videos on anything or just call up. It will probably ship. I mean, I could ship it today or tomorrow, and then that way these guys will be all hooked up too, and we could test it with some water or something, make sure we're good to go. But yeah, if I hit go to start cycle, which I would always do just to make sure everything's good, you're using the right start location, everything like that. And so it's always going to move over the axes, then it's going to move this guy over to where we configured it. Alrighty, but yeah, if I hit start cycle, because of my fill count being at 2, it's just going to fill those 2 and call it a day. When you are dialing everything in, you can just do a fill count of 1. And then that way it just fills 1 cart. So there you go. That's pretty much everything. I'll get this thing uploaded. Please let me know if you have any questions.